Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. In this episode, I kick off a new series I'm working on that's featuring each of the 18 legions that players can play in the upcoming Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Now, the framework I'm using for this series is basically looking at what the Warhammer community is presenting in each of these 18 articles. The lore, the general look and feel of the legion, and of course, its rule mechanics that they're willing to tease at this point. And then maybe down the road, I might have a follow-up as to how accurate I think that these articles presented each of the individual legions. But that would be a series for another time. All right, so again, that's the premises or framework for this series. I'm really excited to get started. And in this episode, we're featuring on basically what is one half of the new Warhammer the Horus Heresy box set, and that's the Imperial Fist. I'm actually really interested to learn a little bit more about the background on this one as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and begin. Well, here we are with planning ahead with the Imperial Fists. Funny little side note, Rogel Dorn, the Primarch of the Imperial Fist with his white hair and very tan looking visage, always reminded me of Johnny Quest's father, Benton C. Quest, which ironically, I have it up to the side here. Johnny's father and a scientific genius who works for the US government is considered one of the 3 top scientists in the world, with interests and technical know-how spanning many fields. And, as we'll soon see here, Rogel Dorn is kind of obsessed with building things, to put it mildly. So, not only does he kind of look like Johnny Quest's father, he kind of has a similar character traits. So it kind of makes you wonder, was Rogel Dorn, when he was originally designed, kind of modeled off of an old 70s cartoon character? Not saying he was, just coincidence. Yeah, coincidence. All right. If you don't know who Johnny Quest is or his dad, just, you can look that up later. In any event, it's easy to pick your favorites, but the truth is that every legion has a role. Some are foaming savages and unrestrained barbarians, while others hold true to their convictions with an unwavering sense of duty and complete dedication to the cause, even onto agonizing death. You see, the Emperor's plan has a place for everyone. It's time for the next in our series of highly unbiased assessments of each of the Legiones Astartes, and we finally arrived at the main event. It's the immovable, the holy fuckballs. It's the immovable and indefatigable. Who uses words like that? Well, aside from you, GW, you say that word out loud and see how you say it. The indomitable, the Imperial Fists. Why do they fight the way they fight? Which sides are they on? And what great undertakings has their Primarch achieved? Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is Johnny Quest's father, like straight up tan, white hair. If you know who Johnny Quest is, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the 7th Legion loves to build. Even as early as the Unification Wars, these project-oriented warriors focus on construction citadels in the aftermath of their hard-won victories. A raised war zone is free real estate, after all. These weren't just fancy palaces, but real fortress cities built with a craftsman's eye, as solid and dependable as the soul of a space marine should be. The Legion's skill at workplace safety may have been driven by the fact that their gene seed implantation causes intense pain. Imagine treading on a poorly placed plastic brick times 1,000. Basically a fancy way of saying, imagine stepping on a Lego and multiply that pain by 1,000. No wonder they never needed hazard stripes to remind them which end of a gun is dangerous. Ooh, shots fired. Perturabo is going to be a little perturbed at that comment. Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, agreed that simply destroying the enemy wasn't enough. True victory was found in security, and what could be more secure than a big old castle from which to plan your next move? It's got a point. Of course, standing atop the battlements gives you an excellent view of all that unconquered territory just out of reach. So poorly managed, so unsightly. Time to rev up recruitment and go crusading again. The Rogel Dorn Primarch is an interesting model. It's well done. It has a stoic vibe, which as it should, based on the personality of Rogel Dorn. But yeah, Richard Gray's painting style. This is non-metal metallic, by the way, and it's practically flawless. It looks so good. It looks like legit just gold paint. But yeah, there's a video on YouTube that he goes through the entire painting process of this Primarch. It's pretty bonkers that this is just straight up shades of brown and yellow paint. Now, admittedly, in this iteration of Rogel Dorn, I don't feel like he looks so much like Johnny Quest's dad. Sorry, I just can't get that out of my head. Yeah, so here we are, essentially the entire box painted as Imperial Fist, not just half of it. It looks great. The yellow and black does look really good. It's funny, though, just how much of a pain painting yellow to look good can be. But yeah, this looks great. As for the rules, on the battlefield, the Imperial Fists are all about standing immovable, refusing to bend to the enemy's will, constructing the ultimate defense, and psych, now they're in your face, smashing you with hammers and swords. A rolling stone gathers no moss, but it can still break your nose. Yeah. Like all the Adeptus Astartes, the 7th Legion have a lust for battle. No one ever won a war by waiting for the enemy to get bored. The best defense is a furious offense, something the Imperial Fists know well. Alright, so let's see what this has to say. So this advanced reaction may be made once per battle, during the opposing player's movement phase, when an enemy unit ends a move within 10 inches, and within line of sight of any model with the Legiones Astartes Imperial Fists, special rule, in a unit under the reactive player's control, with that unit making the reaction. The reactive player may declare a charge for the reacting unit against the enemy unit which triggered this reaction once that enemy unit has completed its move. And as if it were the controlling player's assault phase, with a charge distance in inches equal to d6 plus the lowest unmodified initiative characteristic of any model in the reacting unit and any charge modifiers the unit has. If the charge is successful, the units are locked in combat and fight in the assault phase as normal, with the charging unit benefiting from any charge bonuses, Hammer of Wrath, X, etc. If the charge fails, no surge move is made. It's conditional for sure. That being said, while conditional, while only used once per turn, it has the potential to really swing the battle. But again, yeah, a lot of conditions to make it work in your favor. Fortunately, you can control when you use it. It's not like you just have to do the thing and you get baited, out of using it when you wouldn't want to. So there is that. This outburst of fury isn't out of character. These very serious chaps still employ discipline and resolve on the battlefield, forming deadly defensive formations to spit out an obscene volume of fire. So here we have discipline and resolve. Models with this special rule gain a bonus of +1 to all to hit rolls with any auto weapon or bolt weapon as part of any shooting attack, including as part of any reaction. Holy balls. That's pretty powerful. That ability does not suck. Granted, it's bolt weapons or auto weapons, but still, that's not bad. Any pluses to hit, and a common enough pluses to hit, because most of your guys are going to have a bolt weapon. That's pretty cool. That said, there are still those within the Legion who favor a more proactive approach to battle, namely the Templars. The Dark Angels might have cosplay as knightly orders with their secret handshakes and hush rituals, but the Imperial Fists are true historical reenactors. The Templar Brethren bear swords and shields alongside their bolt weapons and have the honor of guarding the Legion's sacred to-do list, better known as the Temple of Oaths. Appropriately then, the Templar Assault Rite of War lets you field your premier knights as troops' choices. That's cool, with a few other neat benefits to help them hold the fort and objectives. These guys must hate being cooped up in the transports because when they go out, boy, do they get mad at whatever unlikely enemy happens to be nearby. Yeah, they're basically like Black Templars, so of course they're going to be nuts in hand-to-hand combat. All right, so the Rite of War Templar Assault. Units of Templar Brethren may be taken as troop choices in a detachment using this rite of war. All models in a Templar Brethren unit taken as part of a detachment using this rite of war gain the Heart of the Legion special rule and the line unit subtype for the duration of any turn in which a unit of Templar Brethren taken as part of a detachment using this rite of war disembark from a model. All models in the disembarking unit gain Rage 2 special rule. This does not apply if the unit is forced to make an emergency disembarkation. All right, that's fair. Rage 2's, that feels like that's pretty good. Of course, the devout battle lust would lead to a split in thinking between Dorn and his mightiest son, First Captain Sigismund, who exchanged his father's blind, unquestioning fealty for blind, unquestioning faith. These are totally different things, and Dorn was very disappointed. Let's just remember the good times while they lasted. Yeah, so here we are with GW's painted version of Dorn, or Forge World, likely. Yeah, great model. Great model, and I'm pretty sure this is also non-metal metallic as well. I think I do prefer the red as opposed to the purple, but still very cool. And again, Rogel Dorn, his home world is Inuit, which is kind of a weird name, but there you go. Like all of his brother Primarchs, Dorn was flung far from Terra through the Immaterium, landing on the icy world of Inuit. Adopted by the hard-bitten, spacefaring people of his home planet, Dorn soon rose to lead a stellar empire of orbiting snowballs, even salvaging an absolutely colossal space station from ages long past, which he dubbed the Phalanx. It was a bit of a fixer-upper. Okay. Eventually, the Emperor popped along. You don't know how many times I said pooped along. I mean, he is on the golden throne, just saying. Anyways, but I digress. And Dorn signed on to the Great Crusade immediately. He moved the 7th Legion onto the Phalanx, which became the headquarters of the Imperial Fists and the galaxy's most heavily armed clubhouse. Strongholds in the sky, castles on the ground, they would construct a fortress in their mind if they could. Pretty cool image there. Not that Dorn really needs a fortress, he is the fortress. Resolute in the face of hardship and pain, Rogel Dorn didn't just teach his sons how to build the most robust defenses known in the Imperium, but how to become part of those defenses, standing in every breach, solid as a Ferrocrete barricade. The Praetorian of Terra was as tough and unyielding as a brick wall, with a sense of humor and empathy to match. Oof. He was unwavering, dependable, unflinchingly honest, but rarely the highlight of the Great Crusade's post-work socials. Who can say how he ended up inspiring such a grudge in Perdurabo, not to mention Alfarius and Conrad, and, well, it goes on. Not the most social person, we get it. While more dramatic Primarchs pouted, complained, and threw the galaxy into bloody civil war, Dorn remained steadfast on his throne world, holding the line in the siege of Terra even when his brothers were held up by the War Master's treacherous plots. While the Emperor was busy waging the war in the Webway, Rogel was named Lord Commander of the Imperium and tasked with bolstering the defenses of the Sol System and the Imperial Palace itself. Protecting the entire Sol System was a colossal challenge, and Dorn did it out of duty, not for glory, and certainly not just for the opportunity to create the ultimate best castle ever. As Lord Commander, Dorn also found himself boosting around his many immaculately planned defensive spheres. Most famously, he gave Alfarius such a good hiding on Pluto that he killed him. Or did he? Yeah, we just don't know yet. Supposedly. Alright, so it goes on. Elsewhere, the Imperial Fists were tasked with blockading the War Master's home planet of Chthoniya, something they managed with all the ease you'd expect from the Masters of Castling, cutting off the Sons of Horus' ability to reinforce their ranks. During war councils with his brothers, many noted that Dorn seemed utterly exhausted, and who wouldn't be? Keeping the Khan from herring off on his own can't have been a walk in the immaculately designed park. But someone had to do it. Less than impulsiveness caused Rogel's delicate house of cards to collapse. Yeah, you know, their paint scheme is just, it really pops on the tabletop for sure. Despite the immense strain, Dorn kept going, toiling without sleep or rest for months. He continued to command the legions and led the fortification efforts like an overstretched project manager, albeit one with transhuman biology and genius intellect rather than the latest timekeeping app. Well, now he just sounds like the ultimate brown noser, but let's just keep going. This endless dedication saw him fight to the last moment of the Siege of Terra, even aboard Horus's flagship. It was Dorn's burden to retrieve the bodies of the Emperor and Sanguinius from the bridge of the Vengeful Spirit and to receive his father's final instructions for the future of the Imperium, which presumably involved adding extra cushions to his favorite golden chair. Dorn remained unbroken, a mighty stronghold to the very end, but the heresy had well and truly shaken this Primarch's once unassailable foundations. At least he still had his mighty legion in all of its mustard glory. No one would ever take that away from him, right? Kind of feel like I need to cue the Price is Right theme fail song right there. All right, so Dorn's unwavering dedication saw him throw his legion into the grinder more than once. Duty was their middle name, and they took it in their stride, but often it ended in tragedy. Praetorian of Dorn tells the tale of one such noble sacrifice when the immovable knights fought the shifting, duplicitous rogues of the Alpha Legion. Just as Dorn dismantles his father's home to turn it into the indomitable fortress, the Lightning Tower tears down the Primarch's own defenses. This book is the best way to get a handle on Rogel Dorn's thought process, something his allies rarely glimpse beneath his layers of stoicism. And then, of course, a painting guide for your Imperial Fists. So yeah, basically this Legion represents one half of the Horus Heresy box set. It makes sense. They're a really good counter, I think, to the play styles that we'll see when we do see that, the play styles of the Sons of Horus. So I want to say the Sons of Horus are more of an aggressive, offensive faction. Not that the Imperial Fists aren't, but their style of offense seems to be a good counter, likely to the Sons of Horus, which are probably skewed a little bit more melee than shooty, but we'll find that out. I'm making some speculations right now. I probably shouldn't. But yeah, this Rite of War Templar Assault is really good. This Discipline and Resolve. Apparently it's just on all the time for the models that have it, which is great. And even though it's an advanced reaction once per battle, it's a solid advanced reaction, as it should be if you can only use it once per battle. I think out of my 5-star rating, which I now just realize I may not have given to all of the legions I've reviewed so far, I would say it's probably a solid 3.5 to 4, just based on the information we have here. The rules don't seem to be overly complicated, so the floor is not super low for a new player. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think the ceiling's really high. In other words, it's not really complicated. I think it's probably in a really good sweet spot, which makes sense why they would have this as one of the starting legions in the box. That makes a lot of sense to me. I've personally, while I've appreciated this chapter in 40k and I dig its lore in 30k here in the Horus Heresy, I don't personally feel like it really speaks to me as a player. Like, it's fine, but it's just missing that little bit of character for me to really want to try this army out. Of course, my opinion could change, and these are all just first impressions, just based on the information we're getting from the articles. I'm trying not to bring too much other knowledge I have of how they may have played in the previous Horus Heresy or other videos and content creators, what they've had to say about this so far. I'm trying to keep it pretty much just my first impression with these articles. But what do you think? Is this a Legion you're really looking forward to playing when this comes out? What are some of the pros and cons that you feel kind of represent this Legion? I'd definitely appreciate it if you added those to the comments below, because like I've mentioned before, I'm still kind of looking for a secondary Legion to consider playing. It would take a lot to convince me to play the Imperial Fist, but I don't really have a good reason not to either. They just feel a little bit on the, I guess, vanilla side of things to me. That's not a bad thing. And they probably would be relatively competitive if that's your jam too. But yeah, definitely comment below. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that's it for this one. If you've enjoyed this content and haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so, as well as hitting the notification bell and sharing this content with your friend. It's greatly appreciated, and it really does help with the growth of the channel. And as I've mentioned, I'm doing a number of videos highlighting each one of these legions before the launch of the pre-order, at least for the Horus Heresy. You may see this later on. So definitely, if you haven't yet, check out some of those other videos and comment on those as well, because again, I definitely would like that feedback, because like I said, I'm looking for a secondary legion to consider buying, either for when a friend comes over or just something different to play as kind of like a palate cleanser, if you will, from my main legion. All right, well, as always, thanks for checking out this video. I hope you're doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.